So today I'm going to be showing you guys how to mount this IHC Helper bag kit. Comes with everything you need. It comes with instructions. Here's your bags. Pretty good quality bags. Should be a pretty straightforward install. Here's my truck. I took off my wheels and tires. Now this truck does have a VAS flip kit, driver's side. This is your bracket for the driver's side. So if you notice, this is angled upwards. That's how you know this is the driver's side. And on the instructions, they want you to mount this bracket against this weld right here. And then you can see that here. The thing I want to do is remove the U-bolts, the nuts on the U-bolts, and then I'm gonna put a clamp on here so it doesn't separate. Clamp that together. So these two holes are for the pins, and the pins I'm referring to is these two in the middle. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove the U-bolt nuts. They're 7/8. So go ahead. I do have my axle supported, if you could tell there. Once you get that removed, put this bracket off to the side. You're going to be reusing that bracket. We are definitely 19s, and sometimes these can be a bitch to get off. Be ready for that. I don't live in a rust belt, so in my case they shouldn't be too hard. And when I did my drop kit, I made sure to put lubricant on this because I knew I was gonna do this kit before. So once again, go ahead, squeeze this up. And then I'm gonna go ahead and remove this from the top. A little pain. Okay. So now, I'm gonna go ahead and put some anti-seize on those bolts, just so it makes my life easier, just in case I ever have to remove them, which set them back in there. Same with this one. And now I'm gonna have to lift this axle just a tiny bit. There it goes. See, that one went right in. This is gonna be where your airbag mounts, and then basically reassemble. So this is gonna mount the same way still. Hopefully it doesn't turn. Oh man, we're golden. A little bit of anti-seize never hurt nobody. Now they are gonna spin, obviously. Like so. Put my spacer back in here. Put on the U-bolts. U-bolts. And then your bracket, and reinstall your nuts. This is pretty straightforward. Now, I want to torque these U-bolt nuts without putting a load on your suspension, because then you'll get a squeak and it won't ride well. It'll be bumpy, all that. 90 foot-pounds. you can see, but this is a bracket, and this is where your bag's gonna mount. You're just gonna screw it on. So now we're gonna start working on mounting that top bracket. So let me lower the truck a little bit. Once you lower the truck, you should have enough clearance to put your bracket on. And let me go to the back and I'll show you guys what bracket you have to remove on the back side. Look there is a bolt. Let me see if I could get my hand in here. You see that? 10mm bolt. If you remove that, and I believe this clip on the harness, then this whole bracket assembly will fall off, and then you'll bolt your IHC bracket behind that. So let me go ahead and take care of that. So there it is. Go ahead. Go. I want to put this so. So IHC tells you to button it up against that weld as much as you can, and that is so your bag sits straight when you put it on. I went ahead and got this side all done. So if you could tell, the bag is a little bit at an angle, but I think once we air up the truck, it'll correct itself. Also, these fittings that are right here, a lot of people said put Teflon on it, put liquid Teflon, whatever the case might be. Don't do that. You see that red stuff right there? That is actually a type of Teflon they use on these fittings so they don't leak air. So there's no need to put anything on it. They come from IHC perfectly fine. Just screw them in. Don't be too tight on it. You will break them if you tighten them too much. That's why, if you could tell, there's still a little bit of thread sticking out. That's perfectly fine. Now these bolts, for some reason IHC gives them to you without washers. I don't know why. I don't know if they have a reason to doing that, but I didn't want to do that, so I just put my own washers on it. Here you can see what I'm talking about. There's that red Teflon looking stuff on there, thread tape, whatever you want to call it. So there's no reason to try to put much stuff on there. Now this side's all done. This is the driver's side. The driver's side is always going to be harder because you have that bracket behind it that you have to take off, and you have the shock in the way. Also, I didn't use there's a shock relocation kit, which is this. It's meant to go in there and your shock mounts here. I don't think you have to use it on either side. I didn't bother to use it. I think it'll clear just fine. So that, if you look in here, there's about, my whole hand fits in here, so I'm not worried about that. So I'm gonna go ahead, start on the other side, basically do the exact same thing we did over there, but this side's much easier. So we'll go ahead and get this knocked out, and then I'll show you guys once I'm all done, or I'll show you once I start routing the harnessing to for the air. out. And then like I said, it might separate a little bit. It's not the end of the world because these bolts are pretty long. This bracket, your 2 bolts is where those bolts you just pulled out, and then obviously the stud faces up. Go ahead, line this up. So this one's a little trickier. So you have to lift the axle and try to get it just like that. You can see it's dark out, so I've been going at this for a while, but I'm finally finished. Now what took me so long is that bracket right there. If you could tell, I had to notch it because I couldn't get my U-bolts on. I had everything loose. I had the leaf spring off, and for some reason that bracket, it's always fought me since I lowered the truck. So I went ahead and notched that, made everything better. So here's the bag mounted. This is the driver's side. That's how I ran the hose. I mean, I've seen a lot of people run it to the top. If you run it this way, you're not gonna have enough airline, so you're gonna have to buy some more. But I had some left over, so I wasn't too worried about it. Anyways, I ran it with OEM harness. I think it looks better this way and it's safer. So here's the driver's side. Same thing. There's the bag. Harness is mounted, or harness is ran, and then there's my T. And now that T, same thing, I followed up and I tucked the airline runs all the way through. There's a main harness that I zip tied to, and then obviously I went ahead and put my fitting here. Now that was a pain. I was using my die grinder. Let me show you guys. So here's the extra airline that I had to use. But if you look in here, there's a lip right there, and that lip right there kept me from putting the fitting on. It kept hitting that little fitting. So what I did is I just took my die grinder and I took that lip down in order to fit that fitting. But it's all done. You can see the harness right there, or the airline is ran through the main harness. I think it's just cleaner that way. I know some people run it differently. I just like it that way.